Brox podcast. I am your host, Neil Alonzo, with my co-host and very dapper-looking Mr. Brandon Dunheath.
Yes. Fort Brox.
You look beautiful today.
Thank you.
You look so good. I wanted you to rock the pipe.
Thank you.
Is there anything in that pipe?
Not currently.
What would be in that pipe?
Just your regular vanilla Cavendish or maybe a cherry Cavendish. I prefer sometimes. Yes. Fort Brox.
You are dressed for today's episode.
Oh,
you know
thank
that?
you.
It's
Thank
the best episode ever.
Yeah.
The best.
The one to
As
go
you
to the DMV on.
Yes. California DMV is the testing ground for titling with Tezos.
Yeah.
That I didn't think that was going to be uttered in 2023. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, California DMV has never been one quick to innovation.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's even a reality is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's why it makes it the best episode ever.
Yeah.
I know I said last week's was the best episode ever. I know I'll probably say next episode is the best episode ever.
Definitely.
This right now is the best episode.
For sure.
Yeah. But before we dive into it,
Yeah.
some disclosures.
For
We are
sure.
not financial advisors, wealth managers, lawyers, brokers, or CPAs. Nothing in this podcast should be construed as investment advice. Now that we got that out of the way, you're free to say all the shit you want, Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buy it.
Buy it. What's it? That's the part that you have to fill in the blank of.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Whether you want it or not.
Okay, so let's dive into this, man. There's been a lot of articles already written about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this came out about a month ago.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that California is seeing this through. So to put some more details over it, the Department of Motor Vehicles, and this is from a Fortune.com article, it's more, the agency is better known for its bureaucracy and endless lines than technological transformation. But this may be changing after a collaboration between California's DMV and open source blockchain Tezos and Oxhead Alpha, a crypto-focused software development firm. The business dev at Oxhead Alpha should be given a round of applause. Clearly, they did their job to get the DMV to sign up to this.
Yeah.
Whoever coordinated, I would be interested to see how that deal got made. You know what I mean? Like, who were the key players and stakeholders of that deal?
Yeah.
To get this greenlit, it's just imagine. It's incredible to me. So, AJ Gupta, the chief digital officer at the California DMV, said that the agency hopes to finalize its, quote, shadow ledger or a full replication of the state's title database on the blockchain within the next 3 months before building consumer-facing applications, including digital wallets that hold car title NFTs. Quote, the DMV's perception of lagging behind should definitely change, Gupta told Fortune in an exclusive interview.
Well, that's interesting. So they're making a shadow version. So basically just deploying it on their own because they are a layer one. So they're basically just cloning their whole entire
Database.
Network so that they can.
On the blockchain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A full replication.
So is it going to be on Tezos or they're just using Tezos technology?
That's a good question.
All right.
Let's take a look into more so.
Okay.
So Andrew Smith, the president of Oxhead Alpha, said that he was pleasantly surprised by how quickly Gupta-led DMV wanted to move with the initiative. He described the current system as 18th century paper-based technology to solve 21st century transaction fraud, pointing to the common sense solutions presented by digitizing car titles and tracing their movement. For example, if someone buys a lemon or a faulty car in California, it will have a special designation on their title. If they then move out of state and back into California with the car, they can shirk the, quote, lemon branding and sell the car without the new buyer knowing. This allows that not to happen. As far as the benefit for having a persistent digital title, this is a very obvious use case, Smith said. I mean, we would have to agree.
Yeah. Or like salvage titles, stuff like that.
So here it gets into that question that you had asked. The DMV worked with Oxhead Alpha and Tezos to create a private instance of the Tezos blockchain, which would increase security compared to relying on a public blockchain.
Got it.
Smith said that the DMV chain is currently operational and running DMV validator nodes. for now,
Yeah.
the blockchain will operate in the background, but Gupta hopes to create consumer-facing applications soon.
Yeah.
An obvious
so you
application
can,
would be allowing people to transfer car ownership between digital wallets through an NFT version of their title, with the DMV acting as a middleman to ensure that all sale obligations are completed. So they're an escrow account. They're a settling account.
Yeah.
They're getting into the Visa business, if you ask me, in that way.
Yeah.
By being that. And I think they...
But to
better
answer my
serve it.
question, it is a full different, not public blockchain. So it's
Correct.
going to be super private.
It's on a private instance of the Tezos blockchain.
Got
Correct.
it. Okay. So cool. They're just going to like basically make the DMV its own token, which isn't tokenized or which isn't like,
A token it can be.
well, I'm
It's just
saying
not its own currency.
Yeah, exactly. It's not its own currency, so it's its own token. So every car that you get and every title, it's going to be like,
Tokenized.
yeah, that's kind of cool.
Well, yeah, through a non-fungible token.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
On so many levels, because now they are the governance mechanism
Yeah,
over all things car, which will be interesting to see, right? Because that technology should be implemented across everywhere that you can have the transaction of a sale of a car, resale of a car.
yeah.
It's
Well,
a real world example of what
they're
OpenSea's
not-
going through with.
they're not in the game of like selling the cars. They're in the game of making sure that the
They're registered.
registration and like tracking of the car data past that is them.
Correct.
So yeah,
No, they're. But now they get to make sure they get their doing proper at
Yeah.
all times. It's a
With-
settlement.
yeah. What's interesting is like, you know how when you buy a car or you lease a car, the car title is under the bank that you lease it's from name, not your own.
Whoever
so I
has
wonder,
the fiduciary claim to it. Yes.
exactly. So I wonder if how they're going to do that with these companies. It's kind of cool that they're making them get into blockchain and the technology behind it without them actually going like, oh, hey, like, you know. So I just find that interesting. But right now it's not payment or anything related to payment. It's just the database behind it.
The digital title.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a title.
yeah,
So this is one way I could think it would work.
Yeah.
Because again, blockchains are immutable.
yeah,
They're meant to be immutable. So if the data changes, you're adding to that hash.
yep,
Or are they going to create an oracle in
Yeah.
which it updates the metadata on that NFT? Because that would make sense.
Yeah.
Because that data should also be public. Because when you think about things like Carfax, right? You need that data to substantiate what the car's been through.
yeah,
Why would that not be a part of the NFT metadata?
yeah.
You know, there's so many things that make a natural, obvious.
Yeah, like the
Yes.
Carfax data, like
Carfax,
Wow.
if they don't start developing it themselves, are going to be obsolete, because think about cars that are connected to the internet.
Yeah.
You think about something like a Tesla. It already tracks so many things. So why can't all that data be written to an NFT, to a smart contract? So anytime that you go to sell it,
yeah,
you literally do not have to, you don't need anybody. You could be two
You-
people
you
meeting
know
up.
you know exactly the last time that was serviced, the last time that
if
the
it was in an
the
accident.
brakes were changed, like
Yeah.
that, all that information is so valuable to a potential car owner.
Yeah.
Like it, yeah,
You
that's
can see if that car was at high altitude driven recklessly, or if it was, you know, for a 72-year-old mother-in-law who drove maybe once a week.
yeah,
You know, you get to find out all these details.
yeah,
Because, yeah, one time we found a Sequoia on Craigslist, and it was maybe 8 years old. And the lady who had it, her son had bought it for her, and, you know, she was an older woman. She drove it literally once a week. The thing had maybe 10,000 miles on it, and they were selling it for such a wildly efficient price tag. It was amazing fun. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But having said that,
but it was a fake.
no, it wasn't a fake. That happened to my poor friend DeVille. He bought a used 4Runner, and it was great condition, looked good. It showed real well. But when he took it in after he purchased it to get its oil changed and get some new tires put on
Yeah.
it, he found out that the seller had opened the odometer and rolled back the miles.
Did a Ferris Bueller's Day Off on him?
Ferris Bueller's Day
Wow.
Off on him, man. He was so bummed by It literally went from something like 40 something thousand miles to just over 120 something thousand miles. He was so bummed. And yeah, but
you could track most of that data, I think, especially if you have your service record tied to your NFT car title. I don't know. That's just interesting, because then you wouldn't have these scams, and I think it's in California's best interest to like promote healthy business practices. I don't know. Maybe I'm just
you're
talking.
too much of an idealist.
Yeah,
thinking
maybe
for a positive future for human interaction.
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
Yeah.
I just love the fact that this is happening in 2023.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I didn't think this would happen this soon.
Yeah.
Some people might think, well, it's long overdue. Sorta. I'm still of the belief that we're early to crypto. We're early to so many things that have been introduced to us in the past 10 years. Even though things have been developed longer than that, and AI even has been around longer than that, it's really coming to the forefront right now. And we're seeing an innovation adoption happening so much quicker than it used to.
Yeah.
And yet it still continues to make a lot of the similar mistakes that innovation before it had. And there's the problem of regulation, all these things. But somebody like the California DMV, and I talk about them in this like individual type aspect, their own being, because they kind of are, man.
Yeah.
I would have thought there was a lot of bureaucracy with California DMV.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton when you actually go to the DMV. So it's like, what do? You know, I don't know. Yeah, I would have thought the same exact thing, just because it's like, yeah, I mean, you got this old institution, I guess as old as you've had to register your own cars and VIN numbers and stuff, to be able to go, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to change our entire system and update it so that it is like much quicker. I mean, I find it interesting you can renew your license and your registration online. So I haven't been to the DMV in literally 12, 13 years now. So
not to throw my dad under the bus on this one, but he's been able to register and renew his license when the son of a bitch can't see yet. Or again, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a funny way of putting
Sorry,
it.
Dad.
You know, love him, want him to be able to drive, but safely, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that he's just been able to renew it constantly.
Yeah.
But the DMV was founded in California Department of Motor Vehicles was founded in 1915. So it's been around now for over 100 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time, man.
Well, I mean, what if you had the same thing going on with your ID, your identification? So you can NFTize it, and then you can also like maybe upload your an eye doctor record. Like, so you can go to the optometrist, just do your eye thing and be like, hey, I'm good to go. It's sponsored by this doctor. And then you
sponsor. I
don't
always
know.
lead off with
It's
sponsored by.
Yeah, sponsored by this doctor, so that they can check out, you know, what you're doing. This comment was brought to you by ZocDocs. I'm just kidding.
So this is step one in all those things happening.
Yeah.
Because for those who may or may not have listened to previous podcasts, I have a DMV story where I went in to get my real ID, had to show a valid form of identification, and it was my DMV license that I had to show, which was fairly new because it was after, you know, one of the renewals and everything, and I actually did a photo update, so it's fairly new. But they wouldn't accept it as a valid form of identification.
Yeah.
To get my real ID.
Yeah.
And I'm at the DMV.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but, you know, maybe it will make sense at one point.
Well, so this is a step in that right direction. So when you start talking about tying the drivers, the operators of these cars with the actual title, I mean, that's where it gets real interesting. But again, now we're sharing data in so many different ways. You know what I mean? Who has access to that data? But so much of that data already resides with California DMV. You know, so I don't know that necessarily it's going to be used any more usuriously, maliciously, you know, than it currently already is.
Yeah.
There's so much about it that I think there's more pros than cons in this particular situation. I'm of the opinion. But again, it comes down to regulation and how it is done. Now, let's think about if these cars are being titled as an NFT, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this potential use case in our Blue Sky episode. Say you have a car that's titled and 4 of you own the car and you're renting it out through Turo. So you all have fractional ownership of this car and it is an NFT that is titled. And you're renting out that car, and every month that NFT is now distributing through a DAO, or you could just even make an LLC at this point.
Yeah.
It is distributing the proceeds based upon the percentage of ownership of that car and the profits from Turo. This would work directly in harmony with the idea of an NFT being, a title for a car.
Yeah.
I love the possibilities of that. I'm not necessarily saying that the DMV is going to participate in that, but you can see where if they wanted to charge certain fees for certain things, it could easily come into play. Because
yes.
if you
I
have,
just want to give you one of those.
no, I love those. Those are great.
Yeah. Yes. Mm.
Because Google Cloud partnered with Tezos blockchain to bring Web3 technology to its customers, right? Tezos is definitely on the uptick. Excuse me, had a hiccup. They're definitely on the uptick, right? They're playing to win right now. Polygon's been seeing a lot of information like this come out, announcements about they're working with Starbucks, their acceptance in the Disney Accelerator program.
Yep.
I love seeing companies getting these types of home runs
Yeah.
because we need it. And
Yeah.
it definitely combats the negative news. And again, moving forward, cautiously optimistic about how it's actually going to all net out.
Yeah.
Because we can only hope that things like Tezos don't end up going in a bad direction.
Yeah.
We hope things like Polygon don't go in a bad direction, but we have to move forward positively, I would think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you see the news. I just pulled it up. What was it? Google is becoming a validator for the Tezos network, Google Cloud.
It's interesting. The partnership plans to make it easier for all Google Cloud customers to become Tezos, quote, bakers or network validators.
Yeah.
Bakers are part of Tezos' proof of stake mechanism, which helps run the protocol and receives rewards. Google Cloud will also become a baker and join existing bakers like gaming company Ubisoft. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I
It's
like
huge
that
news
they're
for
working-
them. You know what I mean?
Especially as a network validator. Baking is the act of signing and publishing blocks of the Tezos blockchain. Bakers are a crucial component of the proof of stake consensus mechanism. They're basically rebranding mining.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In that way.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
As a proof of stake instead of they're calling it baking.
Yeah, they're calling it
Yeah.
baking. Mining, validating transactions. Bakers validate all transactions and add them to the blockchain. If a baker behaves dishonestly, the protocol has a built-in mechanism that can cause them to lose their security deposit.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Bakers were rewarded with additional Tez for the securing the network. So I have to
Got
figure
it.
out
So
what
that's-
the minimum is.
So that's what it is, actually. Yeah, that's interesting. I did see an article just recently saying that Coinbase says that Solana is going to overtake Ethereum as the number one layer one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, right.
But they
Anyway.
got nailed with some bad things.
Yeah,
since.
for sure. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. But I mean, it just came out. So I'm like, I wonder what Coinbase's stake in the game is in order for them to do it. But I just thought that was pretty funny because like everything that we're talking about with Tezos, like it actually has more real world applications than Solana right now. So that's the only reason I brought it up.
So
It's just
Coinbase
interesting.
announced that they launched and are building on top of the Ethereum
Yeah.
network with Base, their layer 2 protocol.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that was something that they had announced. So it's
But
interesting.
then why would they come out and say like that they're
I don't know. We
Right,
should put
anyway.
that in the show notes.
okay? I'll put that in the show notes.
But going back to Tezos, as far as what's needed to bake, in order to start baking, you need at least one roll of Tezos. Originally, a roll was equal to 10,000 XTZ, but the Tezos community voted to lower this number to 8,000 XTZ. This makes baking more accessible and the Tezos network more decentralized as well.
Oh, I guess. I mean,
It's $1.19
yeah,
today.
yeah,
So that tells you how much it needs to be.
yeah.
It's a good chunk of money.
It is a good chunk, but I mean, it's still lower barrier to entry than a lot of them.
It is.
Yeah,
It is lower barrier to entry. I mean, Flux, you could probably get in for less.
yeah,
But I mean, Tezos is a higher, rate, so or it's a higher value.
yeah.
currently.
Higher value per coin currently. What's the like percentage that you might get back?
So as far as how much you can make baking XTZ, the annual return rate varies. However, this assumes that 100% of XTZ holders are baking, very unlikely. So the annual return rate is usually higher. The less people that bake, the higher the rewards and vice versa.
Oh, got it. Okay. Also, just to let you know, if you have any Tezos on Binance US app, you can stake for 3.1% right now. So that's,
So
I'm just
baking-
saying, like, if you have any.
So what's interesting about staking versus baking is that you can stake Tezos and you only need one XTZ.
Got it. So baking isn't staking. Baking is basically creating your own.
It's like
so that,
mining.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You're creating your own, exactly. But getting back to California, working with Tezos and all things titling, it's amazing. I love the fact that we're moving forward in this way. There's so much that can be opened up as a result of it. It doesn't specifically say if they talk about street bikes, motorcycles, but that brings in a whole new element of things because titling of street bikes and the resale of street bikes is pretty prominent.
Yeah. Like more prominent than cars.
Just different. It's
Oh.
just, it's just different like anything else. It's a different vertical. I will say that I know several people who buy old cars, fix them up, go to auctions, fix them up. So it'll be interesting to see how those get titled and how that track record goes, right? Because when you think about cars, supposedly they depreciate the moment that you drive them off the lot.
Yeah.
But there's cars that
Some
people
don't.
are fixing up and you're fixing them up. Well, Toyota Tacomas have predominantly held their value for quite some time, right?
Yeah. No, I had a 2001. I got mine in 2003 for 10,000, and I probably could have sold it in that like 2020 land where everybody
Land. Yeah, everybody
just
that's
had
right.
so much money.
I remember
and like,
seeing that they were high
I
price.
probably could have sold it for the exact same price, just right away. Yeah,
That's pretty
That'd
cool.
have been wild.
I'm looking forward to the consumer applications that they
Yeah.
end up building for this because it would be awesome if on Craigslist we were able just to simply make that transaction happen and the titling happen because
Yeah,
you could see automatically if the person who's even selling it to you is the rightful owner.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because I believe stuff like this is the foundation that not only spreads nationwide but globally
yeah,
and will lead to homes
yeah,
because homes need to be, in my opinion, tokenized as well.
yeah,
So we talk about AI eliminating jobs.
yeah. Well, hold on before you get into that because I know where you're going with this,
you
and
already
I
see
love
where
it.
I'm headed. Okay.
But so like what I mean, it's just interesting to me because like when you transfer ownership of that, once you hold on to that NFT, then you are the rightful owner. But like you could have a lot of these scams where it's like, oh, I didn't receive the money, so then you don't transfer the ownership. Or there might be a user barrier to entry where it's like, oh, I can't transfer the ownership. So is the DMV going to eliminate a lot of that, especially those headaches, because they're like, oh, you know what? Like we see this as a potential problem, so we're going to just nip it in the bud before it happens, which is like the old school method of signing the back of the title, having it notarized, bringing it into the DMV. So do you get what I'm saying with it when it comes to that? Instead of just a full transfer of ownership, like there's an immediate or intermediary being like, hey, we're going to help facilitate this process in order to. I'm just foreseeing problems, I guess, that.
Well,
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
I
if you
do.
buy it from grandma's not going to have that digital title yet in order to be able to transfer it to you. But I guess, new cars will. But even in that process, like I said, the fiduciary person is going to own the title. And then when it comes time, they're going to send it to you. What if you don't have the DMV wallet app? What if you don't? I don't know.
well, so that's interesting.
It's going to be,
There's-
I think it's going to be kind of a lot slower than we think, but might not be. Who knows?
So what you're talking about is onboarding, and you're
Yeah.
also talking about the way that the parties involved are dealing with their dev cycle and their iteration cycle, right?
Yeah.
Every company has these rollouts of roadmaps. Some do it better than others.
Yeah.
The onboarding of this, I feel like, is a great opportunity to educate people because the incumbents are the people who don't want the system that they currently are used to change. So I'm not necessarily saying that it's older people. It's not a boomer thing that's completely against it.
No, yeah.
It's a
sorry
perception
for
of things.
sorry for using the grandma as like a whipping post for that.
Well, I mean, it's natural to think that, the incumbents would be older. I'm just of the opinion it's those who are reluctant to adoption of any new technology, regardless of age, right? Or demographic.
That makes sense.
Because it's all about a mindset. Are you willing to update to new technology? So it's more of a mindset piece. But when you think about onboarding, I believe it is an opportunity for Tezos and the DMV to really say, hey, we can educate people about this. This is a great opportunity. So the crypto community as a whole, companies like Coinbase should be reaching out and supporting these initiatives to do more onboarding.
Yeah.
Because it's a great learning process because you're physically having to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
And when you're talking about all these things that could potentially go wrong, that's what I would call a pre-mortem. So the dev team, the people who are releasing this on the roadmap that they've clearly outlined for themselves, they would do a pre-mortem. They would think about all the things that would make this a problem, that would kill the user interaction with it. And they would address them as they come, but be proactive in their thinking, right? So when you're thinking about planning any type of deployment, whether it's technology or even just a product, these are things that you do as part of your roadmap planning, your brand planning, right? Because as Tezos, they want their coin value to go up. So these partnerships help their value go up.
Substantially, I'd
You know what I
imagine.
mean? Which obviously calls into question the security issue, right?
Yeah.
So in this particular case, does this NFT become a security even though it's being used as a functional component? Because it's not, it's what helps govern the sale and the
transference.
the transference of the title and who owns it.
Yeah.
But is the NFT itself becoming a security even though its value is something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It is tied to an actual
Car.
value and a car.
So the car is treated like personal property, whereas the NFT itself are they one in the same? Do they work harmoniously in the eyes of the SEC and the CFTC? You know what
I'm more thinking smaller picture here, where it's like, okay, so right now you can put your driver's license into your Apple Wallet, correct? I think you can, or your Apple or your Google Pay wallet. So I think you can like physically upload it, so you have like a portion or a piece, so you can say, hey, this is me, blah blah blah. So I mean,
how to
like,
add your driver's license or state ID to an Apple Wallet?
Yeah.
Impressive.
Right. So that's kind of cool, but also the same way with your registration or your like ownership of the car, if you could put that into your Apple Wallet or your Google Pay. So what I'm saying is, like, would it actually be stored there, or would it just be like a proof of like, hey, because then what I'm thinking about with adoption and just like being able to like show ownership is to be like Google or Apple are going to have to go, hey, we accept like this contract in order to be able to showcase it. Or would it just be like a wrapped version or like a just proof of, and then they kind of put that on there. So but I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, but
well, that's kind of what you're supposed to do on a podcast, homie.
Is that?
Hey, you're supposed to think out loud.
Strange.
No, you're doing your job well right now, just so you know.
Thank you.
So when you were talking about that, I'm always, humans are always wanting to just respond right away. I'm trying to practice active listening here. But as I was actively listening to what you had to say about what you called them smaller problems, I just think about them as those are the immediate real world application problems, right?
Yeah.
The stuff I'm bringing up about the SEC, CFTC, it's just, do I need to dwell on that? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
But I love bringing it up because the adoption cycle of all things crypto and something such as this with the NFTs, it opens up a can of worms on so many levels, right?
Yeah.
But what you're talking about,
if you bring the California DMV into the equation, then you can't be like, oh, hey, you know what? Like, you guys can't do this. Like, I think like a state agency where they have their own, governance, they can be like, fuck you. Yeah, we can. Cause we'll
see.
Yeah.
We're going to see. But to your point about having the registration, right?
Yeah.
I have my insurance company, I'm not going to say who it is because I'm not here to promote them because
Yeah, they suck.
they suck. But
Whoever
I
you
think
are,
I think they
eat it.
suck better or suck less than the others who suck just as well.
Yeah.
But I have, the way that it works is all through an app.
Yeah.
So my registration or my proof of insurance is within the app.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was pulled over once by a cop, and I'm pulling out my phone. He's like, "No, I need your proof of insurance." I'm like, "It's on the app. It's my proof of insurance." He's like, I don't accept that. Where's your printed? And I'm thinking to myself,
so it's Geico.
no, it's not Geico. He didn't. I don't think the cop cared. He just was like, "No, I'm not looking at the app, buddy. Yeah, I need the print." And I'm thinking, it has all the information. Like, you want me to text it to you? You know, it's like, this is wildly convenient.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't have to kill trees. You're already going to rate me for whatever cost.
You want me to airdrop it to you? What do you want?
But, you know, and then another time I approached a cop and showed it to him, and I said, "Hey, you know, if you pulled me over, would you take this as my proof of insurance?" He's like, "Yes."
Yeah.
And he's looking at me funny, like, you know what I mean?
It's just like, it's just like everything else. Like, people get hip to it. And, you know, these cops, like, they see it all the time now. So if you bring it up on your phone, it is actually proof. But I can imagine
So when you're talking about it,
BlackBerry
even with
days
Apple
or whatever.
and the driver's license, at the end of the day, even the physical product, it's a number tied to an image. So with that, the DMV side of things, when I show my driver's license, if I upload it to my Apple Wallet, it's just a physical item showing the identifying information. I know my real ID has these cool features to it to make sure. But if you have a private blockchain database with all of my identifying information, and if you're able to access things like my fingerprint, we could do a digital fingerprint, we could do a Face ID that registers through the private blockchain in the same way. You know what I mean? You see where I'm going with that?
That's a lot harder to counterfeit than something else.
Multiple ways. You know, I'm sure there's always going to be new ways that people are going to try to exploit the system.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the job of everybody deploying these things. They have to do what I would call pre-mortems.
Yeah.
They have to actively try to break the system constantly, because we have to constantly iterate how it becomes better.
Yeah. I like all that.
But I love that we're moving forward.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is a signal of adoption. And you know how I feel about signals of adoption?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish you would signal to adopt me one day.
I could adopt you. Yeah, that'd be great. Little Brandon Heath running around.
Yeah.
You know, I'd want a little bit of nostalgia, right? Because we want to go and create some family photos. So since we can't take you back in time, we're just going to have you act it out.
Yeah.
You know
okay,
what I mean?
Cool.
Just know I don't change diapers, though.
And then AI generate me as a baby.
Then I could sell your like deep we could go down those paths.
Yeah, smash.
Well, those of you listening, we hope you found value in what we're doing. If you see value in it, please share it with others. Who doesn't like to share value, right? I'd like to thank the Celebrators for that intro and outro song. This episode, all episodes are produced by Vocal Visual. And what else do we have to say at this point, Brandon?
Rash, Vocal Visual. Rash.
Thank you for listening.